Well, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you checking out my live stream. This is the first time I've been able to actually live stream on YouTube, so hopefully I don't screw everything up. Make a quick adjustment though. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh man, had to change a few settings to make sure that messages and stuff didn't pop up. Anyways, well, thank you very much, Diamond Penguins, Gammy. I appreciate that. I'm hoping I can do more live streams. It's like I said, I'm just now starting to get into it, so I'm very new at all this stuff. But like I said, I think it's a great way of getting my work out there and sharing what I love to do with people, showing people how I do my work, and maybe teaching some people some how to create some of their own artwork, I guess. Okay. Where to start? Where to start? Now this piece here, I actually started on my phone, believe it or not. Just kind of a rough sketch that I created for the kind of the holiday season. Wanted to do something elemental, something magical in nature, um, but also winter related. I was like, I don't see very many art pieces around ice fairies. They're usually something along the lines of spring, flowers, you know, that kind of atmosphere. So, like, I thought it'd be a pretty cool idea just to come up with a fairy that's made out of ice, that's spreading, you know, frost and snowflakes and stuff in her wake. That was a pretty cool idea. But like I said, this is just the rough sketch. So, um, and what I've done is I've actually imported the rough sketch into my program here, which I use Clip Studio Paint for all my work. Well, I use other programs, but I use mostly Clip Studio Paint. And basically, I put all my sketch layers on in their own folder down here, and I actually filled in a layer above that with solid white and just set the transparency down to around 64%. So it just kind of make like a soft impression of the original sketch. And then I made several new layers above that, each for each item, like a layer for the fairy itself, another layer for snowflakes, and another layer for the border and stuff. Excuse me. But I figured I'd um, start out with refining the fairy itself first before I did anything. I usually like to go for the main object and then kind of work around it. Kind of depends though. Sometimes you want to work on the background, build that up, and then work on the foreground. Just kind of depends on the subject matter and the approach you're wanting to use. Oh, hey Shay, welcome back. That's no good. I hope to have it on black. The idea is not really to completely follow the original rough sketch. I mean, I want to keep a lot of the similarities between it. I like the overall design of it, but I might make corrections and changes here and there to it just to capture the feel and image of the fairy I wanted to create. At this stage, I really don't want to zoom into the picture because if you zoom in, you're going to be like focusing on one area and you'll lose sight of the entire imagery, in my opinion. So until I kind of finalize the overall design of it, I want to kind of keep out zooming in. I mean, I will occasionally zoom in if there's something that I really want to. I don't know. I'm having trouble getting a clear design to it, a clear pattern or whatever to it. And so I might zoom in on some things like that, but for the initial stage, I like to try to stay zoomed out as much as possible so I can kind of keep feel for the entire image, not just that one area. Everybody, can you hear me okay? I might go back in, rough these up a little bit. I really wanted to make it kind of more like rough crystal shards of ice on the skin, but okay, good. I was wondering. Like I said, I'm still new to all this stuff, so I'm, to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous, and hopefully the way I had the mic set up is not too loud or clipping too much. If it is, let me know. I mean, I can turn the volume down the mic a little bit if it's coming across too loud on your end. Yeah, just to explain, with some of these areas, trying to get more depth and trying to make things look like they're on top of the skin per se. So with some of these, I'm just trying to extend it out and overlay it a little bit to make it look like it's lying on top of the area underneath. Which I'm sure you probably guessed that from just watching me do it, but I wanted to explain. Sometimes I'll pause and kind of look at everything, kind of figure out which areas I want to accentuate a little bit and which areas, just, basically just follow the exact pattern that's on there. And of course, being a fey creature, you know, you, I wanted to keep it somewhat in the human form, but it doesn't matter if it's like the foot here. It doesn't have to have toes per se. It's just in the form of a foot, but it doesn't have to be perfectly human-like. I think that's kind of what I like about creating creatures is that you can kind of, I don't know, you can kind of, I hate to say fake it, but you have more leeway to be explorative and creative with the design because you're loosely based upon real anatomy, but you can really you can really exaggerate a lot of things about it and make it your own. So that's what I've always loved about fantasy art, creatures, and stuff like that. Just gives you the freedom to play with designs and ideas till your heart's content, pretty much. I mean, sure, you might have a client or something that has certain things that they require in the piece or that they want a certain design, a certain way of portraying whatever is the idea they have. But you know even in that situation, you're still the one creating it, kind of coming up with the design of it, so you still have a lot more freedom than, say, if I was, I don't know, drawing a car or a building or a landscape or something like that. I'd have to be more accurate and more precise in my details and how they look in real life versus what I'm creating in art. And don't get me wrong, I still like doing that kind of stuff too. I still incorporate realistic things in my pieces. I go off real life stuff, but it's kind of fun to do stuff like this where it's just pure imagination, where you can just kind of play with it to your heart's content. And yes, I'm rambling, I know. Unfortunately, when you're doing stuff like this, for me anyways, it's if I'm talking about the idea, I'm one of those people that uses a lot of hand gestures, so I'm usually stopping what I'm doing here to explain something, and it doesn't make sense because nobody can see me but myself. But oh well. Another thing that's nice about putting all your rough sketches into a folder, you don't have to turn off the view of individual things. You can literally turn off the entire folder and it'll just make the entire background sketch disappear. The very nice feature, in my opinion, so you can quickly see how smooth your lines are, how close you're getting it to what you want in the piece. Definitely have to go back and clean up some of this stuff. I've been a little bit too loose with some of my line work, but oh well, it's a work in progress. And I probably won't get done with all of this today. I don't know. I might get at least her done, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Me stopping every time I talk doesn't help, I'm sure. Like I said, this is my first stream. I'm sure I'll get better at that. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure I'll get more used to doing this as time goes on, and I won't be quite as nervous as I am right now. But you gotta start somewhere, as the old saying goes, so I don't know. I don't think I'm rambling too much, I hope. Hmm. Still trying to figure out what I want to do with the chest area. I mean, not up here, but actually the rib cage area, I guess you could say. I need to put a little bit more design into it, I think. I mean, I'm kind of liking the flow of how it's going into the torso, but I think one of the hardest things it is when it comes to anatomy is learning how not to make it so stiff. I mean, and I'm still getting used to that myself. The what they call gesture drawings, whereas like you have like the form itself where it's it swoops and it has a natural flow to it. Because if you're going off photographs and stuff like that, you sometimes can get a little stiff with your anatomy, like how the pose is and stuff. It looks more like a stiff mannequin instead of a real person or a real creature or whatever. And that can sometimes happen whenever you're creating straight out of your head because oh, they're supposed to be this way, so you draw it that way, but then it turns out that it's it looks really stiff and unnatural if you don't know your anatomy and how the body contorts and moves and the yeah. Another thing I love about this program is you can easily just switch between erasers and whatever tool you're using, whether it be a pen tool or a paintbrush or something else. You can just switch it straight into alpha mode and it basically turns whatever brush you're working with excuse me into excuse me into an eraser basically, which is really nice because you can actually add texture and stuff too that way. Another thing I like about this program as well is, unlike say Photoshop, which don't get me wrong, I think Photoshop's a great program, but every time I've used it in the past, I don't know what the new features are. I haven't used it in quite a while, but one thing I like about this is I've set all this up to where I can easily access all my painting tools and other tools by the simple button presses on the side of my pen display here, which I'm using a Huion Canvas 13. It's a pretty nice tablet. I like it. But yeah, I can easily pull up all my brushes and I can set them up into individual folders to where like just pencils or just regular brushes or something else like that. But it's a really nice feature. I have all my shortcuts set up, color picker. I easily access all kinds of different tools, undos, cut, copy, paste, mesh transformation, all that stuff I have set up on pop-up palettes that make it a lot quicker and more streamlined. Okay, take another look at this. Starting to come together. A little bit cleaner. What I'll probably have to do is once I get everything kind of once over, I'll go back over it again a second time and without the rough sketch layer underneath it and do it, get it a little bit more fine-tuned, some of the lines a little bit less sketchy, which is, I'm trying to do that now as well as I can, but at the same time I'm doing this. That's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but hey, another thing I'm sure I'll get used to with time. There's a lot of things, a lot of details that you won't actually see in the line drawing. It will actually be created more. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've done art my entire life. I've done it since before I can even remember. I think 5, maybe even as early as 4 years old when I really started doing art, and I've just honed it all my life, pretty much. I've always had a passion for art, even like I said, since I was a little bitty kid. Um, so yeah, I it's just something it's always been a part of me, I guess you could say. It's funny thing is that a lot of times I'll tell people, and I don't mean to sound, I don't know, cocky when I say this, but when, art, I like to tell people art is not something I do. It's a part of who I am, and that's just been my entire life. But it's also like I tell everybody, excuse me. To me, I mean, yeah, you have to have the right mindset to be an artist. You have to be able to come up with the ideas and the imagination to create these things. But the skills involved, I think anybody can learn with time and practice. I've seen some really talented artists that, they didn't pick up a brush until their 30s or 40s or even later. And it's me, it's never too late to learn skills like this. I mean, it's just whatever passion you have, I think it's a great idea to follow that and hone your skills with it. I think this is great for the mind too. I mean, it helps you see life in a different aspect, I guess you could say. It helps open your mind to new possibilities, in my opinion. And to be honest, that's one thing I love to do with that's one thing I hope I do with my artwork, I should say, is help to inspire people to be creative and follow their own passions or dreams. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily art. If you have a passion for music or writing or whatever it is, I think this it's great to have at least an outlet like that. Even if you don't make it a career per se, it's still great to have a creative outlet to help free up your mind to help you explore ideas and challenge yourself. I think that's a great mindset to have. Although I have to say, if anybody asks me, I would definitely have to say I am totally addicted to art. If there was anything that I can say I'm truly addicted to, it's definitely artwork. So I guess you could say I'm a art junkie per se. Yeah, that's a bad way of phrasing it, but yeah, I love art. I can't get enough of it. One thing I'm kind of bad at, I see a lot of other artists that are good, you know, really good, do it really well, is line weight. Line weight's basically, if you never heard of that, line weight is like basically instead of just doing a straight line that's solid, you do one that's varies in thickness so it looks more interesting. And I set my brushes to where it will help me create that look, but still still hard to get it just right, in my opinion. You see that a lot in comic book art. Yeah, believe it or not, I have a lot of respect for inkers and comic books and stuff like that. That's a very hard, and I'm sure they love it, but it seems like a very tedious job to me. Well, I might be able to at least get her fully, at least find some, or I have to stream here. But still need to go again. Oh well. Getting there. A bit more details into it. little bit more definition to her face. Kind of a nice effect to add that ear in. They're a little bit more, I don't know, realistic look, I guess. Still not happy with this whole section. I have to go in and a different way of doing that. Have more of a wider angle. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Hmm. I gotta clean up quite a few areas once I get this roughed out a little bit more. But that's kind of normal. It doesn't normally it doesn't take me one pass to get everything exactly right. I have to usually go at least 2 passes, sometimes 3, and on how complicated the piece. One last thing, her basic form is kind of already is pretty much designed out now. I mean, I still gotta go in and add inner pieces to kind of fill out the how the shards would work and all that stuff, but I don't want to go too crazy with all that because then it can get really convoluted fast if I go too detailed, and you kind of lose the overall shape if you do too much. But still want to make it as interesting as possible. So okay, I think that's good enough for now. Keep fiddling with stuff at this rate. There we go. That'll work. One last thing I'd like to show you is a cool little feature. This is something, I don't know, some people consider this cheating. I don't, I mean, I don't consider it cheating because, I mean, if you consider this cheating, then tracing paper would be cheating, or using a compass or certain types of circle tools and things like that could be considered cheating. One thing I've set up here in advance is I've set up these so I could do the snowflakes. I set these symmetrical rulers. Basically, it will save me a lot of time. So if I draw out one section, it does all the other sections like that. So it's a nice little feature of this program. Not what I'm going to do right this second, but I just thought I'd show that off. And one thing, I can turn it on and off easily. It's just hiding or showing the layer that it's on, basically. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope that's the effect I'm getting with her. I mean, she is kind of a fairy, so I definitely want to have her kind of wisping through the air. Of course, once I add, once I go in and add some of these, like wisps of I don't know, flows of air, because in the final piece, which I'm doing the outline digitally right now, but I will be transferring this to mixed media board. And once I get transferred to mixed media board, I'm going to do the final piece in a combination of watercolor and colored pencils. I also have some watercolor pencils to use as well. And these areas behind her where you have like these different flows and stuff, I'm going to have each one of those in different shades of blues and whites and stuff like that, so it kind of gives it more of a streaming flow to her kind of thing, coming off her like cold air, like rippling off of her body. So I think it'll add like a really cool visual effect to the overall piece. But that won't come until I get to the actual mixed media board and start, filling in all the colors and everything. I might actually do like a color rough using the digital tools just to kind of get an idea of the overall color patterns and everything like that. I don't know. I still haven't decided on that yet. But anyways, for now, I think this is a kind of a good stopping point for today. I've got to get some other stuff done here, but I wanted to at least try to get her designed out and get a good start to her. So next stage will be just refining more of the line work and putting in a little bit more details in certain sections. Like, I might add like multiple layers to some of the garment so that it has more of a lacy design, I guess, or or more interesting pattern to it. So stuff like that. Well, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me today. You're the only one that stuck with me to the end, so I really do appreciate you listening to me ramble here while I worked on this. And I agree. I'm going to try to do as many live streams as possible. I am getting ready to start up a Patreon account, I think, and I'll be offering also some stuff on there as well. I mean, of course, I'll still do these I'll still be doing like live streams on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that, but some of the stuff will probably be only available on Patreon eventually.